Okay, if you're making music and you've been doing this for a year trying to see success and you haven't seen at least 10,000 followers, it's either because your music is shit, probably, or because you're not posting enough, or there might be a third reason, which where I'm gonna go through today. So if you think that your music is not shit and you try to post consistently, then there is this third thing that you need to do, okay? Which is obviously the strategy, okay? So if you post consistently and your music is okay, you just lack a strategy, okay? So who am I? Well, like 2 years ago now, I remember posting my first song, no streams. A week later, I had my first 10,000 followers on Instagram, and that accumulated to like 50,000 streams. And that was, at least for me, my kind of first like taste of seeing some level of, I guess, reward for my work, or seeing some type of success. And ideally, that's where we're gonna get you. And so now for the past like year, I've been helping artists do the same thing. And the biggest thing I notice is that, firstly, you're probably not posting consistently, okay? Because the reason you're not seeing success is because you're not buying enough lottery tickets, okay? So you need to think about like music as lottery, okay? It's a lottery, okay? And let's say every song you post is a lottery ticket, and every lottery ticket has maybe a 2% chance of blowing up, okay? Or a 5% chance of blowing up. Now, if you just make 3 songs, then your chance of blowing up is going to be significantly lower than, let's say, if you post 20 songs a year, okay? There's like this thing I see most of the times is that artists are scared to post a lot, okay? But what you need to understand, like, it's not a problem. It's not wrong to post a song every week, okay? It's a great thing to post a song every week, and you need to try to do that. You need to try to be the guy who posts every single week, every other week, who spams out at least an Instagram reel every day, okay? If you don't see success in your first year of making music, it's because you're not doing enough volume, okay? And if you are doing enough volume, if you've tried to make like a song a week, every other week, at least a song a month, come on, and you're posting reels, okay? Then it might be because your strategy is just fucked up, okay? And I guess that's kind of like the advice that I want to give in this video, because like telling you to release more frequently is, it's all good, but it's pretty shallow advice, okay? And I definitely know firsthand from artists that I've worked with that there are artists who, they post consistently, they post reels consistently, they post, songs every week, and they come to me and I'm like, okay, the thing you're doing wrong is not the consistency, because you are being consistent and that's great. The problem is there's no direction, okay? And what do I mean by that, okay? Well, we need to think about music as business, because at the end of the day, your music is a product and you're trying to sell it. The audience is the kind of consumer who's buying your product by giving you their attention, okay? They're giving you their attention as the form of kind of like the currency that you're exchanging, okay? So you give them value in terms of music, and they give you a currency in terms of attention, and you get money from that because of the streaming platforms and the ads and whatever, okay? And you don't need a lot of fucking streams to make your first dollars, okay? If you want to make a living off of music, if you want to quit your job, okay, then you're probably gonna go up into the millions of streams. But in the beginning, to make like a cheeky $400 or whatever, I remember that's what I made in my first payout. I got like $200. No, wait. In my first payout, it was like 20, but I remember my first like decent payout. I remember getting $200 in my pocket it was SoundCloud as well. And SoundCloud have horrible streaming margins. But I mean, that feeling is nice, even though, it's not enough to live off of. And so in order to get you there, you're not gonna need a million streams, Not gonna need that, okay? You're not gonna need all of that, okay? So what you need to understand is like, if you just fucking show up with like a decent strategy and make sure that people understand your brand, okay, you're gonna be at the point where you're gonna have at least 10,000 people, 20,000 people, 30,000 people who are gonna relate to your message and buy into you every single week, even though you're a beginner, okay? Like, it's very achievable to hit 10,000 followers as a beginner if you just get like this one thing right, and it's the strategy. And what do I mean by strategy? Well, it's not just any strategy, okay? It's one particular strategy, and it's just cohesion, okay? So if you're thinking about your music as a brand, as a business, okay, the classic rule for businesses is that people need to see you 7 times in order to buy your product, okay? So we can translate that into music and say that someone needs to hear your song, for example, on Instagram 7 times in order for them to go on Spotify and want to listen to your music, okay? You need to think of it like that, okay? So Now we know that you need to show up in their feed like 7 times. Okay, maybe not 7, but you need to show multiple times. Okay, they need to see you multiple times. They need to understand you. Okay, by seeing you multiple times. Okay, so the big thing, firstly, post a lot. Okay, so people can see you a lot. Okay, and try eventually to optimize so that you to optimize your reels for views. Okay, because that at the end of the day, like if more people are gonna see you, more people are gonna see you multiple times, more people are gonna listen to your music. Ideally, more cash. Okay, more cash flow. But that's not the thing I'm getting at today. Okay, the thing I want to talk about is the cohesion. Okay, the problem that I see, if you're not seeing any like results, even though you're posting consistently, the problem is 99% of the time going to be you lack cohesion. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, it means that one week you're posting a pop song and the next week you're starting rapping on drill beats. Your music doesn't have any cohesion. Okay, you're jumping genres, you're jumping messages. There's not a clear focus in your branding. Okay, you don't have any branding, and it might not be that you're making different music. It might just be that you post different types of content. So one day you go out and you play in the street, and one day you're just sitting in your room doing a fucking thirst trap, and then the next week you're going and having a lyric video. It doesn't work. Okay, you need one sound and one content strategy. Okay, in the beginning, one sound and one content formula. Okay, so that people can see you in the same way over and over again. Okay, so if you're a rapper, I want to see you rapping on the same style of beats every single time. And I want your content, literally like every video should be like bingeable, It should have like the same speed, same structure, same hook, same everything over and over again. And if it doesn't work, you try something else, but you keep going with that one thing. You need to have one message, one theme, and one content strategy. And if that content strategy doesn't work, you're going to move on to the next one. If the next one doesn't work, you're going to move on to the next one. But the big thing is that you're doing one thing at the point in time. Okay, you're not switching it up. Okay, so let's say for the first 2 weeks, you're gonna try and make this 2 songs of the same genre, and you're gonna promote them in the exact same way. If it doesn't hit anyone, you're gonna try something else. You're gonna learn about content strategies and what content strategies are available, what type of branding you can do. And if you need help with that, obviously that's the stuff I do. Okay, if you need content strategies, literally content strategies, branding, like tailor made to you, just fucking hit up the first link in the description. You can hop on a free call, just talk it out with me, tell me your struggles, and I'll try and give you some of my expertise, because I'm all about sharing the knowledge, helping people. I love this passion of mine. So first link in the description, free call. But no, so what I'm trying to say is that the problem you have is not that your music is shit or that you're not posting enough. The problem is that you're not sticking to the thing for long enough. You want to switching it up. Artists love this. Artists love switching it up. And you know what? I've been there too, okay? I would rap on Kanye West type beats, and then I would go on and make an indie song, an indie rock song. And then I'd be doing cloud rap, Or I would make a video literally in my bedroom, or then the next week going out into the park and playing my song. It doesn't work. Okay, you're gonna need to have a coherent and consistent message. You're gonna need to show up in the same way over and over again until people understand you and until people see you as the same person with the same brand and the same sound and the same message over and over again. Okay, understood? Thank you. Then that's the message for today. And I know it was a little bit of like a little bit of a rant, a little bit of a tangent, but I think that's kind of like where the best lessons come from, just from the genuinely like straight up, just unfiltered kind of knowledge. So hope you enjoyed. Yeah.